It started like any other afternoon on daytime television. The studio audience at Universal Studios buzzed with energy as television host Kelly Clarkson, dressed impeccably, delivered her opening remarks. The screen behind her lit up with a photo of actor Jonathan Roumie, the acclaimed performer known for his powerful roles, quickly becoming a recognized face for many. "You know you've hit rock bottom in the arts," Kelly quipped with a knowing smile. "When your fans confuse your characters with your actual convictions, and then you try to tell me about American values." The crowd chuckled. Applause signs flashed. But what Kelly didn't know, or maybe underestimated, was that Jonathan had been watching, and he'd had enough. Within an hour, his team clipped the segment and posted a fiery response on X, formerly Twitter. It wasn't just a defense. It was a declaration of conviction. Television host Kelly Clarkson thinks authentic expression is a punchline. She dismisses the heartfelt beliefs of everyday people while sitting in a studio making millions off curated conversations. Let's see if she's still smiling when I join her on air. To everyone's shock, Kelly replied, "Anytime, Jonathan. I could use another perspective." That's all Jonathan needed. The following day, his team confirmed his appearance for the Kelly Clarkson Show. The internet lit up like wildfire. Memes exploded. Hashtag Clarkson challenged, hashtag Roumie unfiltered began trending on every major platform. Twitter turned into a battlefield. Those who felt ignored by mainstream entertainment hyped Jonathan as the voice of unapologetic truth. Others braced for a cultural clash. The show day arrived. Kelly opened the show confident, unaware that this wouldn't be like a friendly chat with another celebrity or a musical guest. Jonathan wasn't showing up to be nice. He was coming to articulate a truth and not with soundbite. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kelly announced, "today we've got the acclaimed actor Jonathan Roumie. He wanted a shot at the entertainment industry's elite. So, here I am." She smiled. The crowd chuckled. And then Jonathan walked out, straight-backed, calm, and armed with convictions like daggers. The audience murmured. This wasn't just an actor. This was a statement. Actor Jonathan Roumie took his seat across from television host Kelly Clarkson. His expression composed but unreadable. He didn't bother exchanging pleasantries. He didn't smile. His posture was poised like he was on a serious panel, not on a daytime talk show. The audience quieted, unsure whether to clap or cringe. Kelly tried to keep the tone light. "So, Jonathan, do I call you Mr. Roumie or just the guy who gets all the fan mail about historical accuracy?" Laughter erupted, but Jonathan didn't blink. "You can call me someone who actually understands the struggles for authenticity in the entertainment industry, unlike someone who spent 2 decades making millions just off carefully curated public images." The laughter stopped cold. A few audience members even let out a soft, "ooh." Kelly raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "I get it. We're going straight to the talking points." Jonathan leaned forward. "No, Kelly, we're going straight to the truth. You make your living implicitly ridiculing the very values you claim to represent. People of faith, community organizers, small-town artists, dedicated parents, they're not jokes, they're not punchlines, but too often your industry laughs at them." The studio fell uncomfortably quiet. Kelly stammered, trying to recover. "I entertain everyone, Jonathan, that's kind of the job." He smiled for the first time, sharp, controlled. "Except when it comes to your side. When Hollywood's elite makes a mess, you stay silent or spin it into artistic expression. But when someone like me calls out hypocrisy, suddenly I'm a target. You mock my work, my conviction, my beliefs. That's not entertainment, that's cowardice." Some members of the crowd clapped, unsure if they were allowed. Others just watched, mesmerized. Kelly chuckled nervously. "Look, if you can't take a bit of banter, you're in the wrong business." Jonathan's voice grew colder. "I can take banter, but you weren't just bantering when your industry called people of faith out of touch or compared traditional values to brainwashed dogma. That's not humor, Kelly. That's venom dressed as entertainment." Kelly shifted in her chair. This wasn't going the way she'd expected. Jonathan wasn't flustered. He wasn't backing down. He wasn't playing by daytime talk show rules. He was there to flip the script. And by the look in his eyes, this was just the beginning. Television host Kelly Clarkson forced a tight grin as the tension crackled through the studio. For the first time in a while, she wasn't steering the moment. Actor Jonathan Roumie was, and he knew it. "Jonathan," she said, voice laced with forced humor, "let me just clarify. I entertain, I don't mock individuals." He tilted his head unimpressed. That's funny because I've seen the clips. Kelly, you've implicitly called people who share my convictions outdated, naive, and even suggested they were manipulated by older doctrine. That's not satire, that's smear. The audience murmured, a few even nodded. Kelly tried to redirect. All right, let's not pretend you're just some innocent underdog. You're part of an industry that has pushed questionable narratives and sometimes judgmental viewpoints. Jonathan leaned in sharply, his voice cutting like glass. You mean the industry that supports artists having creative freedom? That defends individual expression? That believes the entertainment world should inspire people, not lecture them from lavish sets? The crowd erupted, mixed applause and nervous laughter. Kelly blinked. You're really going to defend everything they've done? Jonathan didn't hesitate. No, I defend the people whose perspectives they fight for. The authentic storytellers that sidelined by corporate agendas you gloss over. The families who scoff at the elite narratives you promote. The parents labeled extremists for caring about what's being shown to their children. The room stilled again. You could feel the shift. The vibe wasn't lighthearted anymore. It was confrontation. Kelly leaned back, trying to diffuse the moment with another quip. You really came here for a debate, huh? Should have brought a referee. Jonathan didn't laugh. You mock, Kelly. I create, while you're getting applause for catchy tunes and talk show banter. I'm speaking for the people whose values never get a fair hearing. They're not amused anymore. They're frustrated. And I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to articulate their truth. A slow clap started in the crowd. It was real, not ironic. Kelly looked off stage. A hint of uncertainty flickered in her eyes. She'd invited a guest, but somehow Jonathan had become the moment. The spotlight burned brighter than usual. Television host Kelly Clarkson shuffled her cue cards, suddenly uninterested in her own script. Actor Jonathan Roumie wasn't playing the game. He was flipping the table. So, Kelly muttered, feigning calm, do you believe entertainment is dangerous now? Jonathan's eyes locked onto her. Entertainment isn't the problem. Cowardice wrapped in charisma is. The audience let out a gasp, half in shock, half in admiration. You use charm to dismiss genuine concerns, to belittle people who don't embrace the same coastal narratives as your entertainment friends. But laughter stops being funny when it's aimed at those just trying to live by their convictions. Kelly tried to smile, but it wavered. Oh, come on. You really think I'm part of some elite plot to silence authentic voices? Jonathan didn't blink. No, Kelly, I think you're the face of an entertainment elite that forgot how the rest of America thinks and believes. And today, he paused, letting the moment stretch. You remembered. A few audience members murmured again. One woman near the front clapped once, hesitated, then continued. It spread like a ripple. Kelly laughed nervously. You're good. You really rehearsed this, huh? Jonathan's voice stayed even. No script, just truth. That's why you're uncomfortable. For the first time, Kelly's confidence slipped. Jonathan pressed forward. This is what you're afraid of. An actor from a varied background who doesn't need your approval, who doesn't flinch at your quips, and who came here to say exactly what millions are thinking. And what's that? Kelly asked quietly. That the carefully curated image is getting old, that the dismissal of traditional values stopped being edgy years ago, that you're not just entertaining, you're a shield for a narrative, pretending to be relatable while subtly pushing down. The crowd went quiet. A man in the back shouted, "Let him speak!" Another added, "He's right!" Jonathan leaned back, his point made. He didn't need to yell. His voice already echoed across the room and far beyond. Kelly looked toward the side of the stage. She was used to controlling the room, but this time the camera wasn't her ally, it was his. For a moment, television host Kelly Clarkson stared into the camera like it could save her. The red light glowed, silent and steady, waiting. Behind it, millions watched, expecting entertainment, but witnessing something far more raw. She cleared her throat. You know, folks, she tried, tone forced light. Usually the guests come to promote something, not challenge the show's premise. Jonathan didn't blink. Maybe because most guests are here for promotion. I'm here for authenticity. The crowd rumbled. Some clapped, others crossed arms, but no one looked away. Kelly shifted in her seat. So what? You want my show canceled? You want me banned? Jonathan shook his head. No, I want you to realize that your brand of entertainment has consequences. That the people whose values you implicitly mock aren't faceless internet trolls. They're real Americans, artists, teachers, veterans, parents. He leaned forward. They're not laughing anymore. The studio fell into silence. Kelly exhaled sharply. You're coming in hot. You sure you're not just angry you don't get invited to the right industry parties? Jonathan smiled, cool and unfazed. No, Kelly, I'm the reason they're shrinking. He gestured to the crowd. This isn't about parties. It's about the millions tired of being told their beliefs are the punchline of modern America. I'm just saying what they can't on national TV. That landed hard. The camera caught a close-up, Kelly blinking rapidly, the first flicker of genuine unease crossing her expression. Jonathan pressed on. You laugh at values you don't live. You mock people you'll never meet. And you hide behind applause signs and producers while acting like you're the brave one. Kelly leaned back. No punchline ready, no comeback loaded, just silence. Jonathan glanced toward the crowd. She built this empire to shape the narrative. I just walked in and challenged it. Applause erupted. Kelly tried to interrupt, but Jonathan raised his voice just slightly, clear, firm, unfaltering. You don't have to agree with me, but I'll be damned if I sit here and let you pretend your entertainment isn't part of the problem. You mock what you fear. And today, he paused, voice sharp, you're scared. Kelly looked toward the floor. A joke died on her lips. He wasn't just a guest anymore. He was the moment. The silence in the studio was now deafening. Television host Kelly Clarkson sat frozen, her trademark smile gone, her usual defense mechanism of upbeat banter completely short-circuited. The only sound came from actor Jonathan Roumie's voice, firm, unshaken, and echoing through a space that once only responded to laughter. The crowd wasn't laughing. They were listening. And then, shockingly, a single person stood. A woman in her 50s with a sensible jacket clapped once, then again, then others followed. Applause spread like a slow-moving fire until the entire left side of the audience was on its feet. Not everyone clapped, but enough to shake the foundation of a studio built on predictable platitudes and cultural smugness. Jonathan didn't turn to look. He kept his gaze forward, unwavering. He didn't need approval. He had conviction. Kelly attempted to salvage the moment. She forced a grin. Well, that's certainly one way to open a show. It fell flat. Jonathan offered a measured smile. Or maybe it's the first time your audience got one that wasn't filtered through a teleprompter. The producers behind the glass looked panicked. One gestured wildly at the control board. Someone else held a phone, no doubt calling legal or PR. This wasn't just a segment gone off script. It was a broadcast shift, a cultural tremor. Kelly finally tried to redirect. Look, Jonathan, I get it. You think I'm part of the problem? But don't you think we need entertainment? Especially now, isn't creativity supposed to challenge power? Jonathan nodded. Exactly. But lately your brand of entertainment only punches down. You don't challenge power. You mock the powerless and call it brave. You ridicule values that built this country while hiding behind elite studio walls. He leaned in. You don't challenge the system. You are the system. Gasps fluttered through the crowd. Kelly blinked. She looked for the first time like a woman who had been told the truth with no cue cards to deflect it. Jonathan stood. Thanks for the chair, Kelly. He turned to the audience, his tone calm but steely. Remember this moment because you're not alone in thinking the mainstream entertainment feels different lately. It's not your imagination. With that, he walked off stage. No mic drop needed. Kelly stared at the empty chair. For a second, it felt heavier than the desk in front of her. The credits wouldn't roll the same that day. Within hours of the broadcast, the internet was on fire. The now infamous exchange between actor Jonathan Roumie and television host Kelly Clarkson had gone viral, unfiltered, raw, and impossible to ignore. It wasn't just trending, it was dominating. Clarkson challenged as to Roumie unfiltered, / authenticity, not punchlines. The clip of Jonathan calmly articulating his perspective and challenging Kelly's stance had been shared by cultural commentators, meme accounts, and even rival morning show hosts who sensed a shift. Religious media outlets reposted it with the caption, "Finally, someone speaks truth in entertainment." Even pop culture critics remarked, he walked into the pop culture coliseum and made the gladiators question their game. Kelly's own team tried damage control. They clipped only parts of the interview for official uploads, cutting key moments of his critique, removing his closing line entirely. But the internet had already preserved everything. People weren't just watching the clip, they were reacting to it, debating, dissecting, and in many cases agreeing. Jonathan wasn't just a guest anymore. He had become a moment, a challenge, a lightning rod. Across online communities, groups of individuals who felt their values were dismissed by mainstream entertainment found a new voice in his calm defiance. Clips from the interview played on social media feeds, phones, and live streams. Even Gen Z creators on TikTok were reenacting the exchange, some mocking, but others praising his composure and control. Meanwhile, Kelly's team held emergency meetings. Ratings had jumped for the episode, but so had the backlash. Major advertisers were quietly asking questions. "How did we let that happen?" one exec reportedly asked. "It was supposed to be a friendly chat," another answered. "He turned it into a cultural reckoning." The morning after, the entertainment world braced for aftershocks, and they hit fast. Every major entertainment network picked up the clip. E! News tried framing it as a disrespectful ambush by a divisive figure. Christian media outlets called it a courageous stand for truth. Variety remained awkwardly silent. Jonathan Roumie's name topped trending lists alongside Kelly Clarkson's, not as a guest, but as the actor who challenged the host on her own turf. Actor Jonathan Roumie himself gave a rare interview to a streaming news channel, eager to clarify his stance. "Mr. Roumie, do you believe your tone on Kelly's show was appropriate for a public figure in entertainment?" he was asked. He didn't blink. "I believe what's inappropriate is dismissing the sincere convictions of everyday Americans. If Kelly Clarkson wanted a safe conversation, she shouldn't have invited someone who came with conviction." The room froze for a second, then buzzed. He had flipped it again. Meanwhile, Kelly, usually brimming with her signature upbeat charm in post-show interviews, was unusually subdued. She released a short statement through a rep. "We welcome honest conversation. Today was certainly honest. The damage was done." Clips of Jonathan calmly calling her out. "This isn't just entertainment, Kelly. This is the authentic America whose values you implicitly dismiss," were being stitched onto every platform imaginable. Instagram Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts. A single moment had become a cultural pivot, but with virality came threats. His team filtered hate mail. Anonymous accounts called for boycotts. One blue-check influencer posted, "Jonathan Roumie is the most dangerous actor on TV." He took it as a compliment. At his next public appearance, perhaps a fan convention or a charity event, the energy was electric. Hundreds turned out not to hear about acting techniques or upcoming projects. They came to hear him speak after that moment, and he delivered. "This wasn't about Kelly Clarkson," he told the crowd. "It was about exposing the entertainment industry's condescension toward people of conviction like you. I didn't go on TV to be liked. I went on to be heard." Cheers, applause, standing ovation. The polished talk show segment was no match for an actor with a microphone and a mission. Kelly Clarkson might have gone quiet in the immediate aftermath, but silence wasn't surrender. Within 48 hours, the counterattack began. Her next show opened not with her usual upbeat tone, but with a defensive edge. "Well, folks," she said, hands clasped, "I learned something this week. Apparently, authenticity now comes with a side of stern conviction and a viral clip." "Who knew?" The audience chuckled hesitantly. The laughter wasn't roaring, it was uncertain. Kelly continued, flashing a highlight reel edited to mock Jonathan's appearance on her show. They added cartoonish sound effects, warped facial zooms, and a fake applause track. But something was off. The jokes didn't land the same. The forced casualness felt dated. Her usual confidence came off strained. Even some fans noticed. Across the aisle, Jonathan wasn't fazed. In fact, he seemed invigorated. That same day, he posted on X, "When the catchy tunes run dry, they resort to cheap edits. Sorry, Kelly, I'm not here for your skits. I'm here for Americans you forgot." The tweet exploded. Cultural commentators weighed in. Even some pop culture critics admitted Kelly might have pushed too hard. "He challenged her," one viral tweet read, "and now she's just trying to sing her way out of it." Behind the scenes, Jonathan's media team was flooded with requests, interviews, debates, guest segments. The moment had snowballed into something bigger than television. It became a cultural litmus test. But the biggest invitation came from the one place no one expected, The View. The network had reached out directly, inviting actor Jonathan Roumie for a sit-down segment. A bold move, risky, but also ratings gold. His team hesitated. This wasn't just a guest spot. It was perceived as hostile territory. Jonathan didn't flinch. "Book it," he said. "If they think they can outmaneuver me, they'll regret it." Back in entertainment circles, word spread fast. Other talk show hosts quietly adjusted their segments, afraid of being next. And on social media, the divide sharpened. To some, actor Jonathan Roumie had become a voice of reason, slicing through the mockery of elite entertainers. To others, he was the storm they couldn't silence. But one thing was certain, Jonathan was no longer just an actor. He was a primetime player. The set of The View was bright, bustling, and unmistakably direct. The hosts, a panel of strong-willed personalities with diverse opinions, leaned into the discussion like a gauntlet for their guest. Actor Jonathan Roumie sat calmly across from them, his posture upright, his tone steady. He wore a simple, well-tailored blazer, and around his neck, the understated cross pendant that had become a quiet symbol for his supporters, glinted under the studio lights. The audience, predictably varied, offered soft applause at the host's pointed question, louder cheers at any perceived win for their side, but Jonathan didn't blink. "Jonathan," one of the hosts began with a challenging smile, "you've been on a media blitz. Some say you're seeking more spotlight than artistic integrity." He leaned forward slightly. "Maybe because people like you treat screen time like the ultimate validation," he said. "But I'm not here for headlines. I'm here because people of conviction are tired of being dismissed by entertainment elites who think genuine belief is a punchline." Gasps, a few scattered claps, a stunned silence followed. The host tried pivoting, statistics, cultural talking points, rapid-fire critiques, but Jonathan didn't flinch. When one threw in a line about Kelly Clarkson just entertaining, he delivered the blow. Entertainment stops being meaningful when it punches down, and mocking people of faith, traditionalists, or anyone who thinks differently than you isn't edgy, it's cowardly. The room didn't laugh. It held its breath. Backstage, producers stared at the monitor. The control room went quiet. The hosts, usually the ones who controlled the energy, were struggling. Jonathan pressed on. Audiences aren't tuning in just for slick productions. They want content with integrity. And if that threatens your comfort zone, maybe your industry isn't as brave as its marketing suggests. The interview ended not with effusive praise, but with an awkward transition to commercial. The host thanked him through polite smiles. Jonathan nodded, shook hands, and walked off stage without looking back. Outside the studio, a small crowd had gathered. Some cheered, some jeered, but all watched as Jonathan stepped into the black SUV waiting at the curb. His phone buzzed, a message from his team. "Trending #1 on X, you just rewrote the playbook." He smiled, not for the headlines, but because he knew what it meant. The mockery had backfired again. In a media landscape of curated claps and echo chambers, someone had finally said it out loud. This wasn't about entertainment anymore. It was about who was willing to stand tall when the lights turned harsh. And actor Jonathan Roumie, he never needed a teleprompter or a laugh track to be heard. In an age where mainstream entertainment often doubles as cultural warfare, actor Jonathan Roumie didn't just survive the spotlight, he challenged the narrative beneath it. When others dismissed authentic conviction, he spoke for it. And when the portrayals turned cruel, he turned the conversation. If this story gripped you, sparked a thought, or challenged what you've come to expect from the media, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Because voices like Jonathan's won't be silenced, not by applause and certainly not by punchlines. Direct hit. Subscribe for more stories where truth meets fire.